So another ship handling orals question. This one's perhaps the most complex to explain, but it brings together a lot of the other aspects that have been touched on in other examples. So it's a worthwhile one to approach. This question was very popular in Paisley for a number of years. So anyone doing their exam there would be well advised to be aware of this one. So the scenario is you have a vessel that's in a river, currents from astern, and there's a bit of wind off the berth. It's a conventional vessel. You've got a small bow thruster, and we're going to go over to the north wall port side too. Now, when they've mentioned the word currents from astern, this should always suggest to you that you want to be stemming the tide. And small bow thrusters are usually only any good in still water, so you'll probably find the bow thruster will only help once we can get the bow into the jaws of the lock entrance. So before you get the bow in there, the bow thruster is not going to be of great deal of use to us, but it may well be handy for us once we're inside the dock. So let's see how we go with this. I'll run through fairly quickly and then just stop in places where I can explain a little more. So this is our model setup. We're just going to proceed up the river and allow the current to take us around once we deploy the starboard anchor. So go fairly quickly through that, and you can watch us spin round or snub round on the anchor. Okay, we're now letting go the anchor, so engine stopped. You can even give her a little kick astern if you need to, but probably find that the ship will start swinging fairly quickly as soon as the anchor touches the bottom. Just putting out enough cable so that it stops the ship moving along the river. We don't need to put 4 or 5 shackles, it's just 1 or 1.5 just to catch the bottom. Once we get round, start coming ahead again on the engine so that we can pick up the anchor. Once the anchor's up, we're now going to start aiming towards the yellow blob that you can see. That's where our forward spring is going to go. And we're just going to use a ferry glide technique. So if you have the engine going ahead and the current on the starboard bow, the ship will set laterally sideways as well as moving ahead. If you're coming sideways too quickly, put the wheel to starboard. If you once you've steadied her up, you can then put the wheel midships, and you'll find the ship will move to port without you having to put port helm on. It's a very easy technique, loads of control, means you can get very safely alongside. So we're just looking to put a forward spring out, doubled up at the yellow blob, no other lines. So once we get up onto the wall, double up your springs, and then we're just going to steam ahead very slowly, slacking on the springs so that we can get the bow at more than halfway across the entrance. The idea is if we can get a long turning lever with the springs, we'll be able to warp the ship around the corner into the lock entrance. So holding on to your springs, keep going ahead on the engine, hard at port, making sure the knuckle, the corner, is well fended. Try to remain in contact with the key at all times. You don't want to be lifting off and getting pushed back on again because you'll damage the ship. Once you're around, slack the springs a little more to get yourself into the entrance, and just driving very gently. You will basically sit on the lock side wall all the way in. Now I've added another ship in just to demonstrate that other ships could be in there. And once we get in, the idea is that we're going to go into the entrance and swing to starboard. Now we're conscious that there isn't a lot of space ahead of the ship, so as soon as the stern comes clear of the knuckle on the port quarter, we want to be coming slow or half astern to instigate a bit of transverse thrust to help with the turn and to start the ship swinging. We can also use the bow thruster to see if it's any use to us. Don't forget, you always want to have more space ahead. Bow thruster is more effective when you're going astern, so use that to your advantage. And eventually I'm going to put out a starboard anchor just to stop me running ahead too quickly, but also as a means of getting off the berth when we come to sail. And that's the end of the maneuver. So quite complex, quite a lot to do, but ultimately quite simple. Just got to take your time.